welcome to Nerf&Turf. I'm Andrew, and on today's episode of Nerf&Turf, I'm going to be going over an old mod I had done, and just generally show you what I did. Here we have a Nerf Recon. This was one of the first blasters I ever owned, so when I first got it, I loved it, and it was just the most fun blaster I had ever had. And then, as I got older and got other blasters, I realized it's kind of not that great. And so I made it one of my experimental blasters where I tried new techniques on it. It was one of my first blaster paints, and so I tried a lot of different things on it, and they turned out really well. I love what I did with this blaster. But I wanted to go ahead and talk you through some of the stuff that was done to this blaster. So I put a basic black vinyl dye to begin with, and then I decided my different paint schemes. For the handle, it was like an aqua seafoam blue that I put on there. And then I put that as well on this, and then in small elements throughout the blaster just to carry that color aesthetic through. And then I had what they call a hammered gray paint, and so it looks like a textured paint. And so it looks like you've got sand or it's made out of rock or something like that. It's a really great look for the blaster, and it adds an extra texture when you feel it, so it feels really fun. And then from there, I decided to add even more interesting things to it. I went ahead and it was odd. I put a piece of tape across the blaster and then just lightly coated it with the seafoam so that there was this really cool looking stripe running through the blaster. It's pretty fun looking. I even joked around that it's my Dude Perfect blaster because it's got the same colors as Dude Perfect. So that's kind of funny, and that's my own little joke. And so you've got the extended barrel here that simply slides on. And then the stock as well, which I had a lot of fun making, just carrying the same theme throughout that, which made it a really fun blaster to take apart and put back together. Now my clear coat on this blaster did not set properly, so you can still see fingerprints on the grip, for example, because the paint on there was very thick, and then when the clear coat didn't settle properly on it, it still moves around a little bit. For the most part, it settled down a whole lot since when I first made it, but it's still not a perfect finish. This blaster was me simply trying out some new stuff. I also went in and with a drill, I drilled out the air restrictor in this blaster. Now honestly, I don't recommend that because I did that to my other Recon and it shattered the plunger tube, so I had to glue it back in with some quarters. And so instead, with this one, I removed it and I just refused to dry fire it, which is really difficult for a breech system blaster to not dry fire because it makes a terrible sound and you just hear the plunger tube cracking a little more every time. So when I load up a blaster that has an air restrictor removed, I like to put a different colored dart in the bottom of the magazine because yes, we can all count. However, sometimes you just forget, and this is a blaster that if you accidentally dry fire it, that could be the end of it. Because that plunger tube is so fragile now that the air, when it dry fires, it could truly break the blaster. So that's why I take extra precautions with this blaster, and I really don't give it to anyone else to use because it's not my more practical blaster. It's my, wow, that's really pretty, and I'm kind of proud of that paint job blaster. So I like to take care. And at this point, it is getting elite styled performance with the air restrictor removed. But I don't know how long it's going to be able to keep up that performance before the plunger tube breaks. Alright, so my different color dart just shot out, so I know that was the end of my mag. So, I do have to prime back. Get the magazine out. But now if I put it back forward and fire it, I gotta dry fire and break the blaster, and I don't want to leave the spring compressed like this. So what I do is I take a dart and I breech load it in through the bottom and I fire that off just so I can protect my plunger tube. Alright, so that's my baby. It's not great, it's not the best blaster in the world, but I'm really proud of that paint job and I have a lot of fun using it. So to those that would like to remove their air restrictors from your blaster, I have to warn you heavily that can cause permanent damage to your blaster. If it's your favorite blaster or a blaster that is near and dear to your heart, I really don't suggest you removing the air restrictor, because then you're just shortening the lifespan of that blaster before that plunger tube inevitably just explodes one day when you dry fire it. Yes, you can remove air restrictors, but always do it with extreme caution, knowing that now that blaster is at jeopardy of breaking any day. And so that's a blaster that you would be less likely to just hand to a friend, because if they used it, they might accidentally dry fire it and then your favorite blaster is broken. So all I'm trying to say is be wise when you mod these blasters. But this blaster was used in my sniper videos, and so it's a really great looking blaster. I really enjoy playing with it and messing around. No, it's not a blaster I'll ever be using on the field of battle, but it's a really fun blaster to plink around with and just to look at and just to experiment with things. Get on out there and nerf your turf. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.